Hey, how's it going? Good, how are you? Good. I'm just doing a sound check, that's it. Making sure that we're good for that, and then you'll have command of this whole table. This is a quick sound check, make sure everything's good. If you're online, go ahead and just let us know. No, it's for the stream. Yeah. No, I won't be amplifying anything. Oh, there we go. Check 1, 2. All right, let's just make sure. Got a good strong signal. Great, let's just make sure. That is nice and good. Got a good strong signal. Great, let's just make sure. That is nice and good. Got a good strong signal. Perfect. Then I'll give you this, sir. I will introduce you. And what do you need? I got HDMI here.
Oh, okay.
Does that work for you?
Hi. Hi, are you ready? Hi. Yes.
We're live on YouTube as well, so if you don't want your face on camera, don't step in front of the camera. You just stay behind. There you go. As you're getting set up, I'll just quickly talk a little bit about community updates and introduce you, if you're good with that, unless you're ready to go.
I just need to send it to that.
Just need to get this working. Let me see what the inputs are here. HD1 should be the one. There you are. Now you're up. All right. A few community updates. First of all, thank you to everybody for coming. I've got a bunch more RSVP'd, either through private messages on social media and stuff like that. So a lot of people are going to be coming in on YouTube. But what I wanted to chat about before we get going was just the exemplary work that everybody in the community is doing to make sure that we all get connected in these various areas of nation building, everything from farming. Carolyn, we sorted out what happened there with Russ, so we've got a better supply chain and communication going on now, just basically working around him instead of through him. And now it's also more farmer to table, which is exactly what we want. So if you want new contact information, let me know. Yes, Michael?
Just to add to that, because I feel somewhat responsible, because I shared about us, some of this stuff that happened, it's kind of like beyond his control. So
No, I'm understanding that. It's not.
it wasn't like criminality.
Right, yeah.
That's not what I felt.
Yeah, something
Not
just
what
kind
I
of fell
felt,
through
no.
forms.
Yep, exactly. Jim is going to be working with me more so in the next coming weeks. We're going to be setting up our own private community judiciary. So he's going to be teaching about law. He's going to be teaching about how a court system actually works, and we can even hold them ourselves if we absolutely had to, because that's what we're supposed to do. Decentralize everything. So, court system. We've got Leo is finishing up his trainings, or is that done already, or is it done this week? One more. So that's where we get into making sure that everybody's self-sufficient as far as defense goes. Michael has been taking the charge in spiritual leadership with the Law of Ones on Sunday, and that's already growing. We're noticing more new faces there almost every week. And of course, as a part of all of this, you've been hearing me talk for the last 3 months about exiting the fake monetary system. And that brings us to today. It's been a long time coming, but it was all on purpose because we had key people within our community that needed to get on board with Cardano so that we could start having that pathway easy for people to start doing trade when we can. Obviously, we're going to have 1 foot in the old system, 1 foot in the new one. And as we get to know how to use the new one, then we can start being less reliant on the old one. And of course, the biggest joy that I have in bringing Kenny here is that knowing Kenny now for 7-8 years, I think it is, we lost touch. So I didn't really know where his life path had taken him. And last October, he met with me briefly in my office here because he'd saw some of my posts on social media about how I was helping people with, the mask or the vaccine mandates and so on and so forth, making sure that they can stay employed if possible. And so he was inspired to come and share with me what he's been up to. And I can tell you it's nothing short of amazing. I couldn't sleep for the first week, and I couldn't sleep last night. It's been an ongoing thing. I now have 3 projects in Project Catalyst.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Michael also, we co-authored them, and we even did our presentation on Saturday at Idea Fest. And so we're watching it all come together. We're starting to rub up shoulders against some very prominent people who are doing exemplary work in decentralizing all aspects of our lives. And we have ideas of our own that we don't see anybody else coming up with. So there are great opportunities there for people who are willing to think creatively and do some hard work. Now, that's the last thing I want to talk about before I introduce Kenny officially and he starts taking over. This is hard work, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This isn't get rich quick. This isn't a lottery. This is going to take a lot of hard work. And the first thing that we need to do is shift the way that we think. I've been talking about that since as long as you guys have known me. In the same way, if you wanted to change your life in your health, you're going to have to think differently about diet. You're going to have to think differently about exercise. If you want to have a transformation in your relationships, the significant other, you're going to have to change the way that you think about them. If you want to have a different relationship with money, you're going to have to change the way that you think about it. And that's just a few things. But what we're proposing with this platform and a lot of what Kenny's going to cover here today is that we need to start changing the way we think about literally every aspect of our lives where we have had government involvement. Because if we can shift our mentality on that, we can become more self-governing. And thankfully, with Cardano, we've actually got a platform that from its very premise, they use the word protocol, and what I like to use is actually the word constitution, because it's a set of rules of governance, right? This is how we've chosen to govern ourselves going forward. And that protocol within Cardano allows for communities like us to do exactly that. Self-govern our economy, self-govern our ID, self-govern our education, self-govern our roads. Every aspect of our lives can literally be decentralized with this platform. And so today, Kenny's going to be talking about how to get your Cardano working for you so that you're not just holding on to it, you're actually gaining interest from it. And he's going to be talking about the different investment strategies and I'm sure many of the cool projects that you've been exposed to as well.
I'm actually going to start with some light fundamentals because
Okay.
That's probably the best place to
Yeah,
start.
by all means. We do have some people here in the room who have gone ahead. They've got the,
Yeah, I was going to ask.
they've converted their Canadian dollar savings. We've got another gentleman, he can't be here tonight, but he's basically taken his entire life savings, everything from stocks, everything, and just put it into ADA for now.
Yeah.
And he's not able to watch live, but he will be able to catch the recording, and I know that there are going to be some quality conversations that come out of this. So thank you to Kenny for coming, and I'll give you this.
Yay.
If there's anything you need, let me know.
All right, I'm going to lower your expectations. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, you guys can hear me. Can you hear me there? I'm just going to lower your expectations. I made this presentation today, just for this. So, in a bit of a hurry. I also hit the gym and I did a bunch of other things today. So, I'll give you a little bit of a background on me. I started out originally as a very small baby. No, I started out in life actually in a farming community. I grew up dairy farming. I was homeschooled. I grew up actually in a log house that my dad built with his own hands. I chopped wood and rode my bike to a neighboring farm and milked cows every day. In fact, that was my first career as a dairy hand. From there, I got into the mechanical trades as far as HVAC, like heating and ventilating, air conditioning, and plumbing and I worked for a company for 10 years. And I left that company and I started my own company, which I still own to this day, called Think Mechanical, and we're a renewable energy commercial mechanical company. So we specialize in geothermal, a lot of geothermal applications, and we've actually pioneered a bunch of technology in that realm as well. So yeah, I'm a high school dropout. None of this is financial advice, but I've proven that it doesn't, you need to educate yourself in your life as life is happening to really be successful. Because a high school diploma really is what these days? Nothing. So I started with nothing, and now I'm actually retired. I in 2017, I got interested into cryptocurrencies simply because they matched my ideals and my principles. The whole idea of decentralizing power and money and giving equal and fair access to people to those services and those currencies really drew me in, and to the point where I actually drained all of the financial money that I had. Like you were saying, your friend took all of his money. I spent a lot from 2017 to 2020 draining all of the money I could out of the traditional finance and out of my company as I could, and putting it into Cardano, which you guys are talking about. So obviously you guys have talked about Cardano. That's the reason you're talking about that. It's probably because of me. It is, well, at least in this group, but it is something that I found that it not only matched my ideals for fairness and equality, but it amplified them on a global stage. So I just spent as much money, or not spent, I literally was doing side jobs and recycling copper and batteries and doing whatever I could, literally whatever I could, to put money into cryptocurrency, because I knew that eventually, through some sort of system, which happened to be, in my mind, COVID, where this need all of a sudden for digital identities and central bank digital currencies was going to arise, and we were not going to have a choice. So I knew that this was my only choice early on. So I identified with that really quickly, and I'm retired of it because of it today. I'm, well, semi-retired. I'm a musician, so I'm actually touring and playing lots of music and doing that sort of stuff. I'm going to start with first principles because what has made me successful, trust me, I've lost a lot of money in this, but I've made a lot of money. And what's made me successful is understanding what these technologies are and understanding what their principles are. If you don't understand what principles are important, whatever currency you get into, whatever metaverse you get into, whatever governance you get into, will dictate the rest of your life in that certain economy, in that certain protocol. So you need to understand, going into these currencies and into these social metaverses and whatnot, they're bringing the physical dynamics of our physical world into the digital world. If you lose an asset in that digital world, it's gone. Especially in cryptocurrencies, there's no central company to go to complain that your bank was, or your wallet was drained. You were responsible for your money and you're on your own, but you are sovereign over your money. So first principles, these technologies need to be trustless. And that means that you don't have to trust a third party, a bank, a person, or government, or financial service provider that could operate between you and your money. Right now, for me, if I want to spend money out of my bank via e-transfer, I have a $5,000 limit a day. I can only spend $5,000 of my own money a day because the bank is between me and my money. Trustless means that you trust that your money kept in your wallet is your money. There's nothing in between you and your money. You're fully responsible to it. There's nobody that's going to save your butt with it, right? There's no financial service provider that's insuring your money, because if they do, they're a gateway to your money as well. Do you guys understand that? So all cryptocurrencies should be trustless. In any cryptocurrency that says they're trustless but they have some sort of gateway to their currency, like say a wallet that only works with their currency, and only their wallet will work with their currency, they're not trustless. You have to trust on that wallet. Get what I'm saying? You trust the company that's running that wallet. What if that wallet has a bug, right? Immutable. The ability for a blockchain ledger to remain permanent, indelible, and unalterable history of transactions. Bitcoin has proven this because since the inception of Bitcoin, it's never been hacked. People have hacked wallets that hold Bitcoin, but the actual ledger online has never been altered. So that's been since 2009. Do you guys understand how blockchain technology works? Like, do you trust it enough where you go, I get it enough where I go, yeah, I get what makes this valuable? Kind of. Each block, so what a blockchain protocol does is it creates this block, and within that block, all the different transactions are happening. So if I send money to you or you send money to me, that transaction is recorded in that block. That transaction is encrypted by a hash. When that block is full of hashes, the very final hash is the hash of all the hashes, okay? So all the math is added up into the final hash. That final hash is then included in the next block, okay? This continues on for blocks and blocks and blocks. That's why I call it a blockchain. Those hashes are agreed upon by separate people, and saying a proof of work technology like Bitcoin, there's all sorts of different computers around the world that are mining the algorithm and coming to a consensus and agreeing that transaction happened. So our transaction, we did it, 20 or 30 or however many the protocol requires to come to consensus and agree that we did that, right? They agree that we did that. It's hashed. So if somebody tries to go to change a hash, it would change the math for the entire chain preceding that hash. And all the computers that came to consensus on those hashes say, no, you can't do that. We all agreed that that happened. So no. So that transaction would just get kicked out of the system. That's how blockchain works. That's how your money becomes immutable. That's how the physical property of cash becomes digital. Because if I give you a $10 bill, it's out of my hands, right? In the digital world, it's hashed, encrypted, and then copied. And then that math is a continuous chain of math. So if somebody tries to change that math, if I try to steal his money back without exchanging the service or the good back, right? It's the same thing. It brings the physical product, a property of physical cash to a digital world. This is the main one, decentralized. The biggest problem with our entire world is the current power structures that we experience now. Would you guys agree? We're seeing the further accumulation of wealth and power into the smaller percentage at the top. Those mechanisms are built into the monetary systems that we use. The reason that money constantly flows up is because it's designed to do that. We purchase products, we pay interest, we borrow money. All those things guide money in one direction, to the 1%. They do that through the banks, they do that through financial services like traditional investing. When you go to a traditional market portfolio manager, they just take a basket of things, of products, and they spread your money out amongst them. This actually employs them. They're incentivized to do that because out of those group of companies that they're allowed to choose from, they're only allowed to choose from a slightly larger group of companies, right? You're either a low-risk investor or a high-risk investor, right? But out of that group of companies, they're all pre-chosen. You don't get to see that. You're going to a portfolio manager. They're spreading your money out. By doing that, if you look at the most successful investors today, they don't do that. They study markets, they study companies, they study problems, and they figure out who's going to solve that problem, which company is the best serving to solve that problem, and they put money on 6 or 7 companies out of hundreds, right, that they look at. So when we're investing in, but through traditional investing methods nowadays, we're actually supporting the system that systematically makes our money worth less to us. So the whole point of cryptocurrency is that we decentralize those structures. We're allowing fair and equal access to everybody to the same financial services that Bill Gates has. Does that make sense? This is an equal playing field now. So yeah, there are numerous ways to measure decentralization, and all of them are important because the whole point of blockchain is this ideal. and any deviation will lead to the eventual failure. Bitcoin solved the cryptographic problem that had been worked on since the 1970s. And the first Bitcoin that was minted, the metadata that was put, in these coins you can put data inside of them, like notes. A lot of the new ones you can do much more things. But Bitcoin in its early days, you could only attach a metadata to it. So the coin itself would have a little bit of data inside of it. And it was just not graphical, just printing. And inside that Bitcoin, it was a quote from a newspaper, the UK banks getting their second bailout. Bitcoin was minted in retaliation to the banks and the governments being able to print money at will. Bitcoin will only ever have 21 million Bitcoins in circulation. The protocol will not allow them to print more. All the countries that have adopted inflation and print money, they've all gone bankrupt, including Canada. We're all so deep in the hole because of that inflation. Our money loses value so fast, right? And you and I, who hold that in our bank, are only allowed to spend so much at a time, or have restricted access to that money, even when it's just sitting there. We can't determine its value. Its value is determined by a group of people that make adjustments at will, our government. So right now, what we're seeing with cryptocurrencies is literally the war over our money. The governments are not going to want us to have this. They're not. And there's a huge war on regulation, on how they're going to try and regulate it and stop it. The great thing about decentralization is that there's no central person to stop. That's the nice thing. It's an eventuality, which is nice. You guys know who created Bitcoin? Satoshi Nakamoto. So Satoshi Nakamoto, they don't know who he is. They think the best guess is that he's a group of people. And Bitcoin was literally minted by an anonymous group of people in revolt to currencies that have inflation. Token distribution. So if you guys are like, I didn't know who I was talking to when I was coming here, so there's a lot of people who are investing, and that's why I'm going over first principles. Token distribution is one of the things that you want to look at if you're investing into a protocol. If a certain or select small groups of people have more than half or close to half of the token distribution, that makes that token susceptible to market manipulation and 51% attacks. You guys have to understand that these protocols are actually living, breathing organisms, right? There are chains that are being used by people all around the world that are being managed or run by groups of people all around the world, different groups of people with different hardware over a network, right? So these chains are literally organisms. And if you have one group of people that has a large amount of the token distribution, they can dump a whole bunch of that coin, drop the price, buy up a bunch of that coin, spike the price, inflate it, right? So that's what I mean, they're living organisms. Their value can be determined by certain mechanics in the system. And if there is an unfair distribution of the coins in the system, and this is something that I keep an eye on even with Cardano at all times, because that's a metric that constantly changes. And coins and technologies that are not thinking about how we are making our technology so it's more adoptable by more people, then the coins will be slowly centralized over time, and we'll end up with the same problem we have now. Small amounts of people with a large amount of power. So often when these technologies, how they go to market is they have an ICO, and they say, we have this idea, we've got, say, 21 million coins, we're going to sell X amount to the public, hold X amount for development, hold X amount for capitalists, venture capitalists, or investors, or founders, right? If that's uneven, but that's how they do it, and that's how this mechanism can happen, because they don't have millions of dollars to build these protocols. They say, we're going to sell these to the public. Their responsibility is to make it valuable so that their share of it is valuable, right? So the public is going, yeah, you hold X amount, you want it to be valuable, where you're incentivized to build a good product, right? If they hold too much and they build it to a certain value, over the value that they initially started with, they could easily dump that amount to the market.
How do they, in a sense, make money? I mean, they're taking our fiat, which is inflatable and everything else.
Mhm.
And what are they actually making with it? I mean, it doesn't exist. It's
Mhm.
just air.
Yes.
So,
The whole idea of money is just air.
yes, but how do they then, how do we make something from nothing?
Well,
Because that's basically what we're doing.
yes. You have to understand the value of these products, right? Right now, your current money is based on what?
Nothing. Basically nothing.
Nothing. These technologies are actually based on technologies solving problems, right? So now we're going to see the world that we're living in even now at our age, I think is going to change drastically because the whole understanding of value and governance is going to change according to protocol, not country, right? We live in a digital world and we live in a digital economy and we interact mostly through the digital economy. So the coins that have, or the technologies and the projects that have the right tokenomics, the right governance, they're the ones that are going to succeed because they're going to be the ones that solve the problems of being able to transact in a peer-to-peer way, in a decentralized peer-to-peer way. Sorry, go ahead.
It seems to me, as I've been trying to figure this out for a couple of years, the notion of a token. You want to talk about that a little bit? Like, what's a token and what's a token like in real life? What does token mean?
Okay, so like as far as a token versus a coin versus.
Like a token in real life, like there's a LRT token.
Mm-hmm.
I put some money in the machine, a thing comes out, I get to use that.
Mm-hmm.
And that has value because it's recognized in a certain context that does a certain thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the real life token. Again, you just want to talk about the digital token as an analog?
Yeah, I mean, there really isn't much more to add there. It is that simple. These coins and the technology that's built into each coin, its value is based on that adoption of that technology, and that technology's adoption is based on its utility, right? Another thing I'm going to go over in the end here is NFTs, and maybe that's what we're referring to. There are different types of tokens. There are utility tokens and security tokens. Security tokens are when you, and they're applicable to different tax laws than utility tokens and cryptocurrencies. Security tokens is when you securitize something with a token. Say you were to take a product like one of these dresses here and attach an RFID that was attached to a blockchain or whatever, and you wanted to lease that dress out, like rent it out for parties, right? You securitize that product, that physical product, with a digital token, right? And then people scan it. That scan takes their money out of their wallet, and they have rental of that, like through whatever the smart contract is required. They have rental of that dress for a certain amount of time. So, does that answer your question in some way? Yeah. Okay.
So you just used the word contract. So
Mhm.
now we're still bound.
Mm-hmm.
So,
About self-governed.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
No one governs the contract except for the people who are.
Except for the terms.
okay, got it.
Yeah. Yeah. Smart contracts are contracts that there's no middleman. They are the middleman.
Smart contracts are actually the purest form
I don't want to
where
read.
we can actually experience contract law in its purest.
In its purity,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's more like actual common law. It's just
Correct.
when you-
Yeah.
it's first-
Exactly.
The Bitcoin, when it came out, and it still is proof of work. Are you guys familiar with this term? Proof of work means that the protocol requires each computer to prove that it's a computer, right? We have the same thing for our email. I don't know if you guys remember the early days of email. I used to get spam email all the time. That's because there was no SA-245 on it. SA-245 is the proof of work protocol that tells the sender, you need to prove that you're a computer each time you send an email, right? Before it wasn't there, and you could just send a mass amount. You could send a bazillion emails out and it wouldn't do it. Like, there was nothing to stop it. So that proof of work is what limits the amount of emails you can send and stops people from sending out spam emails. Bitcoin is the same way. Sorry?
Except for the teams off my computer.
Yeah, true, right? Yeah, they get through all the time. Bitcoin, it's the same thing. It's a proof of work. Each computer, so the protocol has an algorithm, and to mint the next Bitcoin in the protocol, somebody has to solve that algorithm, and it gets harder every time. So in the early days, you could mine Bitcoin from your laptop in 2009, and about 2011. Then you had to start upgrading. So now, Bitcoin is at the level, it uses the same amount of power, I believe, as Ethiopia per day.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Because the algorithm is so difficult to solve, it requires server farms, and these server farms are huge. And to even afford a small server farm that could have the chance of solving the algorithm at this point would cost you north of $10 million. So to be a Bitcoin miner and to keep Bitcoin decentralized, that should not be an aspect. But rather now we're seeing what is happening is all of the Bitcoin miners are conglomerating to 3 major players. Those 3 major players could collude to manipulate Bitcoin in the end. So Bitcoin could go to 0, for real. And I think eventually it will. Because it's just too expensive to run. It doesn't do anything. It won't change because they don't want to change it. It's the original cryptocurrency. And if they do change it, they risk breaking it. And then it really goes to 0 forever. So decentralization and proof of work technologies will, in eventuality, always end up centralized around hardware and energy. The new answer to that is the new coins, which Cardano is, and it's proof of stake. So proof of stake means it's a lottery system using the coin as a lottery ticket. Coins are pooled into by a mechanism called staking into pools. These pools are run by a Stakepool Operator, and he runs the node. He's the guy who's running like the Bitcoin miner aspect of it, but he's running a node. And in Cardano, a node uses less power than a standard house. So it's thousands by thousands of times more efficient than Bitcoin. So you stake your coins in a pool. So I have a whole bunch of coins. I stake them to a certain pool. They don't leave my wallet. I'm just basically casting my vote to the Stakepool Operator saying, I know him, or I trust him to run his node. Go ahead.
So I'm lost here. Can you just relate this to the original metaphor of the ledger book in the sky? How does that relate?
Right. Okay. So in Bitcoin, you have to prove you're a computer by solving a logarithm. And you go, yeah, they're a real computer. They mint the Bitcoin. They get rewarded in Bitcoins. In the new proof of stake system, right? That's why they're mining. They're getting paid in Bitcoin. In proof of stake, I hold X amount of coins. Say I hold 100,000 coins. They stay in my wallet, but I stake them with the Stakepool Operator. He's operating his node like a Bitcoin miner, but he's just running the protocol. There's no computational algorithm that he has to solve. If one of the coins in his stake pool wins the lottery, he gets 50% of the rewards, and the other 50% of the rewards go to everybody in the pool. They're distributed evenly out to everybody in the pool. Does that make sense? So instead of, like with Bitcoin, if you want to make Bitcoin money mining Bitcoin, you need 10 million minimum to mine. With ADA, you just have to hold the coin. With Cardano and with proof of stake, you just have to hold the coin and stake it, and you get your 5.5% compound interest.
Like a shareholder?
I'm just going to be obtuse and try to get my question answered.
Yeah.
So going back to the ledger though. So
Right. Sorry. Yes.
What is a coin?
That's what I missed.
What is the ledger, right?
Right. What is the ledger? Each coin is a digital piece of information. that has utility.
Like,
The ledger itself,
Is that like the item number in the ledger, for example?
well, Cardano is a EUTXO. It's like Bitcoin is a UTXO. Cardano is a extended UTXO. So it's like cash in the sense where if you were going to buy a pop from a machine, you would put your $10 bill in the pop machine, you get your pop out of the machine, and then you get your change. So there's two transactions. Same with Cardano. They look in your wallet and they go, okay, he's got a UTXO that contains the right amount of coins. They send that UTXO to the receiver, and then they send you back the change. Okay? That's how it works in Cardano. Not all of them are the same. Ethereum, anything that's built on Ethereum is accounts model where every transaction is on a global scale. This is what's ridiculous about Ethereum. It's an accounts-based model where every transaction is one after the other, and it's exact. Where on a UTXO, it's concurrent. They're in parallel, and with an eventuality into one single chain. So the token itself is like cash. It's a chunk of value. You spend it like cash, and you get the change from it. The rewards mechanism, the protocol pays out to the stake pool operators and to the pools, right? So right now, I'm making 5.5% compound interest every 5 days paid into my wallet, no bank in between me and my interest. Literally, the protocol is paying me that 5.5 every 5 days. Simply because I'm staking it with a stake pool. And that stake pool operator is doing a good job in making sure his node is up and running all the time.
How do you choose stake pools?
It's a good question, and that could be a whole nother conversation. I chose my stake pool operator. Originally, it was a Russian guy, and I use Twitter a lot for cryptocurrency. Actually, it's almost solely Twitter and Reddit for my information. And I just was watching to see who had valuable input onto stake pool operation. And he had lots of things to say, and he was smart, and he had some reports that he had put out, and I read them, and so I was like, this guy seems like he knows what he's doing. So I put my money there. And then eventually I found a guy here in town who's running a stake pool. So I moved my money over to help him out because he didn't have enough money in the stake pool to get rewards yet. And I'm in the process of building my own stake pool now.
That's supposed to be like a broker?
No, a broker would be a middleman. A stake pool operator is an independent operator who decides that he's going to run the protocol on his hardware. And it can be anybody. Just download the protocol, sign up to the system, and draw delegators. Sorry?
How can we need a how can we need a stake holder?
Stake pool operator? That is how the system is secured,
Oh,
right? To be a decentralized system, you need your system to be run by multiple people, and you have nothing to do with those people, right? It's decentralized. They don't work for you. There's no connection between you and them. They download the protocol.
Oh, no.
Oops.
Now the computer is caffeinated.
It's decaffeinated, yeah. I might have just added a bunch of extra. Sorry, what was I saying again?
You were
so
saying.
it's decentralized, so but so we're but it's yeah, except but we don't know who they are.
Exactly. So the proof of stake systems are.
Good, but is it good?
It is good because the protocols need to be built in a way where it's trustless. They're incentivized to play by the rules. Remember Google's first slogan was, "Don't be evil"? These protocols built in the right way, they're changing it to "can't be evil." Because if you are evil, the system just kicks you out. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So they're incentivized in a way where they want to keep their node up and running. Thank you so much. They want to keep their node up and running because If they don't make the rewards. And the value of the tokens that they already hold goes down. You know what I'm saying? These protocols are living organisms. They are built on incentives. People need to be incentivized the right way to use them the right way. And if they don't, the system has to be built so that they are rejected from the system. And a lot of these systems aren't built that way. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was wondering if in this proof of stake protocol, when you have a small number of nodes,
Mhm.
let's say 60% of them are on Temple, in a way that makes it more or less decentralized than other.
It makes it centralized. Yeah. That's why literally, my next note here is community. If there is no incentive for a community to build around these protocols, they will die, even if they have the best technology. If there is no community that's attracted to these, they will die. There's one called Algorand. It's really good technology. The guy who had built it is one of the leaders in MIT. Really awesome technology. Can't grow the community because there's nothing incentivizing a community to be involved. So if you're an investor, one of the things you want to look for is, does this coin have a huge community? Because if it doesn't, then the tokens won't be distributed. It'll centralize around token distribution, right? And self-governance is another one. This is by far the hardest and yet to be solved problem in blockchain. Cardano hasn't even solved it. They're on track to solve it. I think the roadmap says the end of this year. I would guess probably early next year, before the middle of the year.
Sorry, which problem is that?
Self-governance. I was one of the early members of a group that you're using now called Catalyst, and it is the early version of the app and the process by which the protocol gets upgraded according to voting. Because not only are the coins that you hold, you vote to stake, you also vote on what you want to see happen. And there's a whole, you go into the process and you can see proposals. You've got 3 in there, and people are, okay, so that's the other thing. There's a treasury in Cardano. If they don't have a treasury, they will also centralize and die. Because who's going to fund the development of that coin over time? The coin has to self-fund itself. Cardano has a treasury. 50% of those other rewards go to the treasury. The other 50 go to the Stakepool operators, and then from there they go to the stakers. Coins like Ethereum and Bitcoin, they're all run and managed by a central foundation, and they have no path to not being anything other than run by central foundations. That is no different than the current banks that we have now. Doesn't matter if the technology is decentralized and the coin itself is decentralized, if the decisions and the monetary policy are all determined by a central group of actors, then it's no different than the bank that we have now. So it's worthless, in my mind. Yeah, monetary policy. There are certain coins out now there, like the main coin and the main community out there, Ethereum, they have an inflationary protocol.
I've got a question, because the way that I see most of this operating right now, to me it's almost, I just equate it like stocks, because you buy Ethereum, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down.
Yep.
But you were talking about getting paid 5.5% compound. So how does that work different than me just buying Ethereum?
Okay, so right now, Ethereum is proof of work. They're planning to go to proof of stake this year. So you buy it as an end user on a cryptocurrency exchange, just like a stock. Goes up, goes down. The difference between your ability to buy that stock is the fact that you can buy that stock, right? Cryptocurrencies are stock-like, but the access to them is for everybody, right? You and I can't trade on this Toronto Stock Exchange, right? And the number of companies that get to be traded on the Toronto Stock Exchange are chosen, right? You can't just be on there. Cryptocurrencies is literally the Wild West of stocks. These are technologies that are solving real problems, and anybody can buy and sell them on a cryptocurrency exchange. So in that sense, yes, they're just like stocks. one of the keys that made me successful was realizing the difference between value, transactional value, and meaningful value. And I'm at a point where I was like, I'm going to drain all my transactional value into an asset that pays itself compound interest. That's what I was looking for, and that's how I found Cardano. Any asset that's accruing in value over time by the technology that's being built into it, while being an asset that pays itself compound interest, just by holding it, is an asset you should buy.
So if you have $1,000, how long does it take to double that?
Well, you're making 5.5 annual, paid every 5 days on the Cardano. Depending on the protocol that you choose or the chain that you choose, it depends on their monetary policy. The higher the interest rate,
Yeah.
for lack of a better term, the higher the interest rate, the more unstable that currency will be because it's paying out at a velocity that's higher than the technology can handle, right? It'll wash out the market. It'll pay out so much that people will sell off, and the value of the initial token itself will deflate. Am I running out of time, or are you guys just stiff?
Oh, no.
Okay.
We're used to Paul doing these calls.
Yeah.
I'm probably even more monotone than Paul.
No, it takes hours.
I've talked for 4 hours.
Yeah.
The thing with cryptocurrency and blockchain is that it is such a massive thing, and it's going to change so much, and it covers so much, and the different industries that it's going to go into and affect are so many that it's really hard to get a gauge for what people are or where people are at, right? Some people don't even know anything about it. That's why I'm starting with these. Because if you go into it, no matter what technology you go into, whether it's a cryptocurrency, it's a metaverse, or it's a governance tool, if you don't understand the principles that that protocol is built on, these codes are law, right? You go into that system, you're saying, I am abiding by these rules by using this system. And if the principles of that system, like Mark Zuckerberg wants to build a metaverse, in his metaverse, Facebook owns your identity. They own your assets. They can turn off your voice, right? We don't want that metaverse. That's not a real blockchain metaverse. That's a centralized metaverse. There will be centralized metaverses and there will be decentralized metaverses. This is the war that's coming over our information. And the last one, open source. So,
You hit the full screen on this?
oh, sorry. I should have turned around. Where is it? Slideshow. From current slide.
There you go.
There we go, open source. So, in software technology, nowadays, if you're not open source, you're dead. Companies that hold patents on their technology, people don't use because communities don't come to them. Communities build around open source technologies because they can invest their own time and knowledge into developing for that open source technology. Does that make sense? In today's world, the businesses that we're going to be replacing corporate with community, because the peer-to-peer technology of this stuff, where we're able to interact peer-to-peer, we don't need the companies anymore. We're going to be able to collaborate amongst communities and solve our own problems. Imagine a world where, okay, so the easiest one is Uber. Right now you have an app with Uber, right? Blockchain is going to build the next Uber. There will be no central company that gets the majority share of the funds earned by the drivers. The drivers will, because there is no central company. It's just a protocol. It's that easy, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen fast.
But in a way, there kind of still is, because you're gonna have this shareholders.
They're not shareholders.
Well, what are they called then? The people who,
Stakeholders?
stakeholders?
No.
No, not stakeholders. The people that are.
These are currencies. You have to understand. They're just money. You're not a
but there's
stakeholder. You're
people
buying
that
money.
build it, like you said, and then you have the pool operator.
Yeah, you have the
all these
stakepool
people.
operators. Yeah.
So they're investors, in a sense, of this currency,
Right.
to get this currency going
Okay.
in order for this peer-to-peer system to work.
Right. But they're beneficiaries of the system. They want to maintain it
It's a
running.
community goal. It's not a centralized thing.
Yeah, it's not like if one node operator goes down, it doesn't matter. There's thousands of them around the world. In Cardano specifically, there's over 3,000, right? And the system can run on one. Does that make sense? It would be centralized because there's only one, but the system can run on one. The fact that there's thousands just means that they're all validating the ledger, right? And like you were asking earlier, say my coin is in a pool and I win the lottery for that next block, my pool wins the right to mint that block so that we get the rewards from it. Anyway, back to...
Everybody who's in that pool gets benefit from it,
That's right.
not just one individual.
Not just one
Like a
individual.
public infrastructure bank,
Yes.
but truly public and decentralized
Mhm.
and transparent.
I'm just trying to think of it on a large scale and a small scale at the same time.
Yeah, no, that's good.
It makes my eyes water.
They know how to earn it.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
So, yeah, what is blockchain? It's cryptocurrencies, it's digital identity, it's the metaverse, it's the new internet, and it's also the new digital economy. The future our kids are going to live in is going to be much different than ours, because the ways to make money from this digital economy are completely new and novel from what we already know, that us old people are going to be like, what are you doing? Like, our kids will literally be buying their groceries with probably Pokemon cards from their phone. It's going to be a completely different world. Yeah.
So then, see, this is what confuses me. There's like 50,000 different cryptos.
Yeah.
How do you know? Yeah, I don't know. Which one do they use? Like you said, if they're going to be buying everything with these, the people who are purchasing, like the retailer then, like if it's one-on-one, the person that they're exchanging tokens with, don't they have to have the same token?
No.
So you can exchange any token with any token. Their all value is the same.
Yeah, this is the technology that's going to go mainstream probably in the next 2 years. They're called DEXs, decentralized exchanges. And they'll be apps just like Apple Pay and Google Pay.
So you can use any currency to pay.
Yeah, any tokenized, you could literally use your address.
Okay.
But transitionally though, like, let's say Susan's, would say ADA accepted here, right, kind of deal, right?
Doesn't matter if they say ADA accepted. In a DEX, whatever they're asking for, the protocol will pay in. Whatever you have, it'll exchange through the DEX.
But she's still receiving it, for example, in ADA though. So
They're receiving it in whatever they're asking for.
Whatever they want, yeah. Whatever they set.
They could be asking for Pokemon cards.
Whatever they
Yeah.
pass over for a QR code for a wallet.
So
And
it's
then
all,
would there need to be some quality assurance on the DEX though, right?
Well, yes, obviously in the build of the DEX, for sure.
Like if I just get my coin on there and okay, I'm going to exchange for ADA, can pay in the microcoin and 5 dresses or whatever.
Yeah, no, they're just protocols, and they're decentralized protocols, just like the currencies are. So there's no company that's monitoring them, and they're the same as a protocol where, if they're built right, they'll be self-governed, and the people who hold the tokens for that DEX, because that DEX will have its own token, right, a liquidity token. The people that hold it, they'll vote on the protocol upgrades, and it'll be, the protocol upgrades will be paid for within its own mechanisms, right? It'll pay itself to do that.
And this is maybe kind of minor, but it's like when you go to foreign exchange, you go to a different country, you get at the airport, and you
Yeah,
want to change your dollars
Yeah.
for lira, whatever.
yeah,
So that's an exchange.
yeah.
But still, if I just walk in there with this piece of paper and say, okay, I want to exchange this for, euros, they're not going to give me any euros for something I just give them.
Right. So within the DEX, there would be what's called, and this is part of the new digital economy, and this is something that I'm involved with. It's the decentralized finance aspect of it. So these DEXs, and there's hundreds of them right now, hundreds and hundreds of them. And what they do is, for me, as a currency holder, I can loan my money to that DEX as liquidity. So I'm making not only my 5.5%, I'm now making another 5.5% or whatever percentage from this liquidity, right? So I'm making now 11% or 12%. Does that make sense? So these,
Because you're able to lend out even though it's staked. You're
even,
able to
it
lend
stays
out
staked, yeah. But it's just like voting. You're saying, I'm adding liquidity to this pool.
with these staked funds.
Yeah. Don't ask me about arbitration and all that stuff when there's those that's all actually built into the protocol as well. I don't understand it well enough to tell you, but I do know that as far as the game theory and the social dynamics part of it is they've built it so that people loan liquidity to these pools. Some of the technologies you do have to move your coins. With Cardano, you do not. I don't know how they've done that, but they've done it. It's a functional language, not an iterative language.
It almost, the way that I've been able to conceptualize how that works is like your wallet suddenly becomes a savings account with interest. As a comparison.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's different, but that's.
There would
how-
probably be, within the terms of your loan, loaning them that money, there'd be a restriction on your usage of that money,
Right.
whether you could use a percentage of it or a risk percentage of it, or the interest from it
Yes.
in concurrency.
Some of them allow you to actually borrow money too and get paid interest.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's,
Any financial service that you understand and know now in the traditional financial world is in the decentralized world as well. Yeah. So these DEXs, they'll have liquidity of all these different coins. And as long as the vendor is asking for what the DEX provides in liquidity, and you have what the DEX providing liquidity, you will literally go up and pay just like Apple Pay, and it'll pay out in what they're asking for from whatever you have. And as long as those two coins have some sort of pairing within the DEX. So really, and I think this is a really important slide, cryptocurrency, oh, this is not working.
It's not updated.
Yeah. I probably did something when I touched the screen somehow. Oh, here we go. No,
Try to escape.
from current slide. Yeah, let's see. Not changing, eh? Okay, I'll just talk from here. So cryptocurrency should mean that you are sovereign over your money. Okay? The risk of this means that you are your bank. Your wallet is your bank. I hold all my money in a hardware wallet, which literally means I have to attach this little device to my wallet, put in the 8-pin digit, and then press two buttons together physically to spend money. So if the government wanted to come after me, I'm just going to lose my money in a boating accident. Okay? But that gives me sovereignty. That little hardware wallet means that money is mine. It's not held on an exchange. It's not held in an intermediary service. It's in a wallet. And the seed phrase for that wallet's in my head. So if that wallet is ever stolen, they'd have to know my 8-pin code. If it's ever stolen, I can recreate that wallet anywhere in the world from any computer with that seed phrase, and all my money is still there. They'd have to know my seed phrase and my password to steal my money. And those are both only in here. So I have sovereignty over my wealth. People who have their money in the bank and think they're sovereign are not correct. Because you only have certain access to that money. And that money loses value. So no limits, I can spend as much as I want, how often I want, and there's no sign up. Anybody who can buy cryptocurrency can use it. Like my kids, I wish I could give my kids a debit card. They're too young, right? I want to give them a debit card so they can go to the store to get it. But the bank won't let them have them. They're smart enough and young enough to know how to use money, but the bank doesn't want them to know how to use money. It's very interesting to me. Cryptocurrency gives us the ability to transact peer-to-peer. No bank, no government, no financial service, nothing. You guys I really want you guys to understand how important that is, because the world is going to change in the sense where, say, an app comes out where you get your digital identity, you build your digital reputation, you post, and it's like a Google Maps, and you list your services that you can provide, whether it's fixing a computer or raking leaves, and your rates. And then somebody goes on that map and they go, I need somebody around me that can fix my computer or rake my leaves, and they put that into the map and you pop up with your rates and they go boop, and you've got a smart contract rate on your profile, and boop, you've got a job.
I like that sound effect.
Yeah. That's the world that's coming,
Kind of like, ding.
right? We can provide our services peer-to-peer because of this technology. We don't have to go through anybody else, and we can pay each other directly because of it.
It's interesting you bring that up. I'm talking to a guy who has the concept on paper on how to decentralize Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Using the same.
Every industry like Amazon is going to be decentralized. Facebook, Twitter, all of it, because they're just protocols. And all these protocols are doing is removing the central ownership of that protocol. So yeah,
Put that concept in Cardano.
the Cardano
It's
is,
built from the ground up with
Yeah.
that intention.
yeah. Yeah, the reason I got heavily invested into
We're getting
Cardano.
on the ground floor.
You are, honestly, people ask me all the time, am I late to the economy, to this new economy? No, you're not. This is literally just the beginning. Yeah, you're not late at all. Like, I was really, really early. I was going through a period in my life where I was seeking some answers. And I did the smartest thing I could, and I found the smartest person I know, and I asked them what to do. That's how I got to where I am.
They're my friend, actually, like, buys them so we can get to take her money.
And do this.
Like, are you gonna buy her out?
Things I've been doing is, for myself, this is more about the principles of it. And what I've been doing is, whenever I need fiat money, I just sell it to people who want, around me that want to buy ADA, and I don't charge any brokering fees. Because the advantage to me is I'm creating a digital economy around people, or around a currency, and with people that use the same currency as me. I've literally put a truck stereo in my truck and paid for it with ADA from a shop.
So that's my question too, is like, right now we're in between two systems, so exactly, you need fiat for stuff.
You do, yeah.
So then, pay electricity bill or whatever, right?
Mhm.
Go
Yep.
get groceries, so then, yeah, you're constantly having to trade in for it,
Mhm.
basically.
Yeah, and it depends where you are in your life, right? Like some people, for me, all of my value is in cryptocurrency now. And whenever I need money, I just sell some of my cryptocurrency, my interest that I make, and I sell it off to somebody that has fiat. Or I wire it to my bank. I sell it off on exchange and I wire it to my bank, and it takes me literally 2 minutes to sell cryptocurrency on the exchange, and it takes 2 full business days for the bank to receive that same money. Yeah, it's such a different world now. It's not even funny. Digital identity. These are coming both in a decentralized form and a centralized form. I'm sure you guys have heard that Alberta is already going forward with their digital identity program. I've known about this program for years now. It's been in the works for at least 2 years. The website's been up for 2 years. The federal government has had their CBDC website up for 2 years. They've been planning on a central bank digital currency for the last 2+ years. So,
And arguably longer, this is how long the site's been up.
yeah, that's just how long the site's been up. Obviously, there's a large. Do not accept centralized digital offerings. They are going to try to incentivize the majority of the people to take a digital identity in some way, just like they're incentivizing people to get the vaccine. Free money, whatever.
Pay off your debts.
Pay off your debts. The problem with CBDCs are They are able to freeze your money whenever they want, see how you spend your money, determine how you spend your money. If they decide that they want you to be healthier or they want Canada to be healthier, they will not allow you to buy certain products. You could go up to McDonald's, literally try to use your debit card or your CBDC card.
They probably want you to use McDonald's.
No, they're gonna funnel you, they're gonna funnel you to death.
They're going to funnel their money where they want it to go,
Yeah.
is what they're going to do.
It isn't going to be, it isn't going to be for the benefit of our health.
It's not going to be to the benefit of our health. The other thing that they're going to do with CBDCs is they can control the interest rate. So they can literally speed up the spend rate. If they want to stimulate the economy, they'll lower the value of your bank account across the board for everyone.
Do you think that they're gonna wait to burst that bubble until more people get onto this digital ID? So
I think it's
that-
just a pathway. They've been paving this path with the whole vaccine passport and all of that.
Yeah.
They've been paving that path to get people into this, like, oh, I need to do this now.
Yeah, well,
The war in
we're
Ukraine,
starting to push the digital ID right now.
Yeah.
He said like pretty soon, in probably a couple months.
The war in
we'll have
Ukraine?
incentives and stuff, right, yeah, all that.
the war in
But
Ukraine
now
is
with
they're
the-
actually,
The economic bubble building up, do you think they're gonna wait till more people sign up and they push this digital ID before they actually burst it?
no, I mean, there's no saying, I'm not a conspiracy theorist in the sense, I'm more of a what's human economics and what's natural human behavior, and power corrupts and the wealth only wants more wealth. That's very easy to watch. I think there's going to be some civil unrest, and to what extent we're going to see that too, because they are going to, and they already are trying to stop cryptocurrencies. They're trying to regulate them, trying to regulate access to them, the path to them, and all that, because they know that they have no control over them, and then therefore they have no control over people. The problem is they can't stop them because they're decentralized. The whole point is the decentralization of them, right? They can't go kill one person and the whole thing shuts down. They can't go bomb one building and the whole thing shuts down, right? If you were to bomb 3 strategic places in the world, Facebook would be gone. Of course, you'd have to blow up a mountain, but you get what I'm saying? They're centralized, and that's where their weakness is. Decentralization removes that weakness.
I think somebody who's, I don't know if this applies, but I'm into this a little bit, and he was talking about, like, especially the wallet or some different things where you need a second, identification or or
Two-factor authentication.
yeah.
2FA?
Maybe that's what.
No, that's just a
But
security
it sounds like
feature.
it was a bad thing, not a good thing, that they, because it's like they were trying to get their own identification in as a second person instead of you going direct.
Yeah, that doesn't give you sovereignty over your money, and that's not a viable blockchain technology then. So that's why I went over principles first. If that's what their offering is, no.
Yeah, yeah.
You need to have direct
It sounds
access.
like some of these wallets are starting to do that, though. Like,
Mhm.
they were originally,
Mhm.
single authentication or whatever it is, and now they're trying to get people to do it.
Well, there's certain wallets like MetaMask. It's the main wallet for Ethereum, and Ethereum is the main coin out there. MetaMask, the technology behind it was bought up by JP Morgan, the infrastructure. So now they require everybody that uses MetaMask to do KYC, which is know your customer. So you're
So they can shut you down pretty quick.
they can tax you, they can track you, they can do whatever they want.
So what wallet do you have?
I use the Daedalus wallet, which is native to Cardano. And the reason I use the Daedalus wallet is because it's a full node wallet, which means the entire history of the blockchain is kept on my laptop, on this laptop.
Is your computer strictly just for that? Like, do you have one that you don't surf the internet, you
No.
don't do anything?
No, it's such a lightweight wallet, even though it's a full node wallet, that it runs on my computer in the background.
I just meant more for hacking and for,
My money is on that hardware wallet.
Okay.
So they could hack into my computer, they can look at my wallet, they can do whatever they want.
Do anything with it.
But in that ledger, the coins are kept on the ledger on the internet. What's kept on your hardware wallet or in your hardware or in your wallet period are your keys to those tokens. okay? You hold the keys in your wallet. The tokens stay in the sky. Let's see if this... Oh, there we go.
Now it's working.
Yeah. So yeah, I spoke ahead a bit of my time here, but yeah, Mark Zuckerberg wants to own you. There's going to be all sorts of metaverses that are coming out. Facebook is the first one, and they want it to be a world where basically your digital assets are his, if he just so decides. They can mute you if they do so. They make the rules for that metaverse. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't trust Mark Zuckerberg at all.
So basically, that's sort of what we're doing with this, you know, like, gathering tonight. We're sort of understanding how we can put our foot on the other side.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to give you the fundamentals of how to make decisions because I believe in sovereignty. I could tell you to buy Cardano, but I'm not going to tell you to buy Cardano. I'm going to tell you to do your own research, and this is how you do it. Identify that these chains are decentralized and they follow these principles. Research the hell out of them. I was lucky I was early enough. Like if I came into the market now, I would be lost. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of coins out there. And the market has turned into the traditional market where it's just traditionalist money has moved in and they said, okay, we have a product that we can sell. And it's supposed to look like this. And so they build it like Solana. It's a chain that's super fast. And one of the main metrics people try to measure is transactions per second because Visa is somewhere around 25,000 transactions per second. And when you're trying to do a decentralized ledger that's verified by computers all around the world, it's very hard to get that speed. So what they've done is they sacrificed decentralization to increase their transactions per second. So if you have like 20 supercomputers that only wealthy people can own and super smart people that know how to run them can run, then you could have a super fast blockchain. But is it a blockchain? It's not. I mean, it is, but it's very susceptible to centralization, right?
Just because the nodes are not distributed.
Yeah, they only ever have 21 nodes. And those 21 nodes can find each other, those operators can find each other and collude.
Is that why we've been seeing a lot of updates in the Cardano network where it's like, yeah, we had to do this update to help speed things up?
Yeah, so right now Cardano is on their Basho era, which is basically we got to get to Visa level transactions per second on a global topology, right? So they've been increasing their block size, which means they can get more transactions in a block. They've been reducing their script size so they can get more transactions in a block. They're doing pipeline endorsers next and all sorts of other technologies to speed it up. Right now they're, I think, around 250 TPS, which sounds very low. But TPS isn't actually a measurement that I use because a transaction can be me sending you $2, or it could be a full smart contract that's pages long of code, right? That's a transaction too. So it's actually more information. How much information can these blockchains process? And Cardano's near the top.
So to purchase Cardano, where does one go?
Yeah, that's actually, well, I mean, you're welcome to talk about that if you want.
Yeah.
But we're doing that as our own, within our own training.
Yeah. Yeah, there's,
You can touch base with us. Okay.
yeah. There's cryptocurrency exchanges that you can use. I use one called Bittrex and KuCoin. Bittrex has been around since the beginning, and I've used them since the beginning, and I've never had a problem in all of my time. So I trust them. But I have to trust them. When I send my coins to them, they have my coins. It's in my wallet in their exchange, but it's in their, like, I don't have custody over their coins anymore. So what is blockchain? It's the new digital economy. There's going to be a massive shift in how business is done. Peer-to-peer technology allows us to cut out all of the middlemen, but there are even more opportunities. So investing, a lot of people do trading. I never did trading. All I did was just whenever I had money, I bought. That was it. That was my strategy. Do you guys know what NFTs are? Non-fungible tokens. Yeah. So digital art can be minted into a digital coin. So say you have a painting, a digital painting, or even a picture of that digital painting, and you want to turn it into an NFT. You can mint it through the system, create that NFT, place it on a marketplace with a smart contract, simple or smart. You can rent that art out, you can sell it directly, you can have fractional ownership, you can have all sorts of things depending on what that art is and the value that it holds. If it's good art, people will buy it. If it's digital music, you can get paid per stream. Guess what's going to happen to record companies?
Oh, yeah.
Guess what's going to happen to the whole music industry? The music that we get is going to be completely different because the system in which we hear music now on the radio and popular music that comes out is all determined by big money. NFTs give an artist the ability to create a digital piece of art, mint it themselves, put it on a marketplace, and get paid through a smart contract without having to do anything.
And no middleman.
And no middleman, no record company. You get paid on merit. Is your art good? You'll make money. If it's not good,
Keep practicing.
it's the Wild West. You might keep practicing.
What is HODL?
Hold on for dear life. I have, in my time in the last 5 years, I've made over 2.5 million and lost 2 million. So hold on for dear life means if you're an investor, this is the Wild West. Like, hold on to your shorts. For me, the only time that matters, that number matters, is when I'm pulling money out into the real world, into the fiat world. That's it. Right? So I don't even look at those numbers. Because it's going to be this one day and then this one day. And a lot of people get stressed out by the investment of and I bring a lot of people into Cardano. And I know for the next 3 weeks I'm going to get a message every day like, what's happening? Just hold on. Are you spending it tomorrow? No. Do you plan to spend it tomorrow? No. How long do you plan to hold it? That's the day you need to worry about. And you need to determine your investment on that day by what you're doing spending it on today. Are you investing in something that's going to be worth something on that day, 5 years down the road or whatever? I had a lot of people ask me, like, what's your exit strategy when I first started this? And I was like, I don't have one because I'm not going to need one because this is the new money. And now those people that asked me that question 4 years ago are buying from me. That was my strategy. And I told them then, I said, I'll be selling it to you. And I was right. Staking rewards, I make 5.5% compound interest paid into my own wallet from a protocol, no bank, no nothing, and no financial service in between. So that's every 5 days. Every 5 days, my pot increases and the interest on that pot stays the same at 5.5. So my pot grows every 5 days and the interest stays the same. So I have a compound interest asset. That's what I'm living on right now.
Did I miss that? How do they determine the interest? Is it 5.5%?
The 5.5 is determined by the protocol. And it's an average, right? Because these are living things. It's a lottery system. So my coins in my pool might not win a block, right? There are statistically, and that's one of the ways that you choose a pool. Does the pool have enough coins in there to feasibly win the lottery, right? So in Cardano, a saturated pool has 64 million coins in it. So if you have a pool that only has 5 million coins in it, the chances of that pool winning the lottery are less. That Stakepool Operator needs to do better marketing or be a better Stakepool Operator to attract more delegations. It's a marketplace for him. He's trying to get more people to his pool. He's incentivized by the rewards. He wants to keep his pool running. He wants to play honestly, right? Because he wants people to stake with him so that he gets more rewards. DeFi, so like I said earlier, anything that you see in the traditional financial world, loans, leverage, arbitrage, all that stuff. You can make money on it through cryptocurrency. You can loan to a liquidity pool. There are protocols coming out right now that will be out in the next 6 months, I think, or 3 months, that are going to turn my 5.5% into 20% through their protocol. And those coins will never leave my wallet. So I can spend them at will
Wow.
while making that 20% interest. What do the banks pay for interest now? Nothing, right?
Nothing.
5.5% compound interest is mind-blowingly good, right?
I remember
Well-
17 at one time.
Right? Way back in the day. I remember when gas was 23 cents. NFTs, I already went over these, digital art. If you're an artist, there's an economy in this world for you. And you can take any art you have, digitize it, turn it into NFT, attach a smart contract to it, place it in any marketplace or multiple marketplaces, and have residual
Yeah,
income.
We're playing with that realm right now
Mhm.
with physical art
Mhm.
and learning how to attach an NFT to a physical object.
Yeah, so like event tickets in the future, they'll be NFTs. So if you want to go to a concert, it'll be an NFT on your phone. That NFT will be built into it that it'll only last the period required. It'll,
I'm actually talking to somebody right now regarding creating an NFT protocol that is actually got built into a contract. Like, so the NFT itself has the data saying that in order for this to be a valid sale, there has to be a shipment of the actual physical painting as well. So
Yep.
the NFT is actually of the certificate of authentication for the piece of fine art.
Mhm.
And the NFT is going to have a line in there saying that this can't be sold, and it will be a part of the protocol where that certificate of authentication cannot be sold unless it's also accompanied
With
by
the
a
art.
shipment.
Yeah.
And so when you're purchasing that NFT, that money would actually go into basically an escrow, waiting for that shipment to actually have arrived. Once the shipment arrives, the money's finished transfer.
So that's what he's talking about, a smart contract. So
Yeah.
that the terms of that smart contract are determined amongst the two people involved, or multiple parties involved, right? They determine the terms of that. They would attach some sort of technology to that art to say that the purchaser received it. So it could be within the system of the delivery where the FedEx site comes up and he gets the signature from the person, they receive it. That literally he's signing metadata on the blockchain, right? Saying he's received it. Boom.
I can actually attach a physical, well, so we use the NFC on the back of the art.
Yeah.
But we could actually set it up where every article of clothing in here has its own NFT for about $2 an item, total cost. Whereas, well, and that's because it's Cardano. The other NFTs out there are
Quite expensive.
stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the NFTs out there are worth more than each individual article.
Yeah. Yeah, the NFT marketplace on Cardano is quite cheap for transaction fees. Ethereum, the transaction fees often cost more than the art because it's such an efficient chain. Yeah, so,
And isn't it true that the art NFT that's just the, sort of some foam at the beginning of the whole thing? Like, it seems that, I think that's gonna become a real minor part of the NFT thing,
what's that?
the art.
The art? Yes, I agree with you.
And we actually already have NFTs in the physical world. Like your concert ticket is an NFT, actually, it's just not a digital one.
It's not a digital one,
Because
that's
it's
right.
unique and it means
It's a
something.
voucher,
It
it's a
has
one-off,
value,
yeah.
And then it only has value in one way. So it's kind of similar like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it can even only have value in one way and for a certain amount of time or in a certain place. You can only use it in one place.
Does this put Ticketmaster?
It's going to put Ticketmaster on there.
Gosh.
Yeah. And very easily,
Yeah.
because what Ticketmaster does is so simple.
And I'm like, Ticketmaster's a small player that's gonna be taken over.
Well, but it's so frustrating when you get, like seriously, I just want to be able to go enjoy music and go to a concert and not get screwed because the ticket's $80, but I'm paying 105 or something.
So I'll tell you what's happening right now. I think what's going to happen, and I'm hopefully going to be a part of this and working towards that end, is record companies are going to become platforms. And those platforms will enable not only people to put together their own tours and their own concerts, like artists themselves, they'll be able to collaborate, make music, and sell music on the same platform. But the platform will enable them to build out a tour. They won't require a team. Different players that's like a stagehand, he'll be a part of that platform and offering his services on that platform saying, I'm a stagehand.
Yeah, and that's a very exciting one that just 2 days ago, right? Paul and I were in a Zoom meeting, and there's a guy in Caribbean, and that's exactly what his proposal in this fund round
Yeah.
is to decentralize the music industry.
Yeah.
Centralized music streaming.
Music
Yeah.
streaming, yeah. Music
So
streaming
it's
for sure.
very cool, but you're talking about earlier that whether people are coming into the system, and Cardano has the largest amount of activity going on in development, like by far. And this year, I think it's going to be around $50 million that they're funding research for, like in 4 rounds. So there's just an incredible amount of activity going on for all these things and many, many other great ideas. And it's really international too, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
Well, it's on the internet, right? Yeah, the great thing about what they're doing with that is they're building the self-governance of the coin. So that process is slowly being iterated. I was like I said, I was one of the first 50 focus group members of that catalyst. Yeah.
And just to shed some light on it, just like yesterday, someone was telling me that the way leadership works in there is just like a community. Like you show up and you start making connections and you start contributing and you learn and you know, if you have an idea and you're passionate about it over time, people start to understand.
You build a
and start
digital
to
reputation.
join in,
You build a
and
reputation.
It's really community. It's not like, oh, I have some credentials, so therefore I'm going to be the boss now.
Yeah. The entire corporate structure and thinking, systemized thinking is going to change.
Yeah, it's just flat. Like
Yeah, and it's already happening. Open source was the beginning steps of that, where open source allowed groups of developers to work together remotely, right? To develop a common product that they had nothing to do with, just other than they could put their knowledge into it. This is the same thing. Cryptocurrencies are the same thing. They're open source, and the communities are there to drive innovation because it drives the value of the coin and the technology. So these groups, whatever they're doing, whether it's NFTs or some sort of logistical type of application or an identification program, they're all groups of people. They're not companies. They're communities. That's the really neat thing. The only company behind Cardano is IOG, the founder, and they're building it so that they eventually are just one of many applying to the Treasury to be funded for their ideas.
So what about Pirate Bay? Like what happens with the open source on platforms like that? Like, are they embracing a crypto, I don't know, idea platform?
Well, for them, it's just it would just be like APIs as far as being accepting the currencies to use their services.
Because you were talking about musicians and stuff like that, and that's one of the things that I didn't like doing it, like taking advantage of music and stuff like that was on Pirate Bay, so I never really paid that much attention to it. But how does that?
Evil, debased depravity, right now.
It's distraction.
Right?
Yeah.
Whereas, when this is decentralized, like then human creativity can really blossom, and consciousness
It's left to
it's actually going to widen and deepen our human consciousness, right? So that's a really
Yeah, I don't know how else to state this to prepare you guys, but this is going to be mental shifts in multiple ways. Like the power structures that exist now are going to resist it for as long as they can, but it is an eventuality. Decentralization is an eventuality.
Yeah, it's the battle.
Yeah.
I do have a
Actually,
question.
it could be that later, so I have to step up and change that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Oh, yeah, and that's, well, and that's the focus of Freedom Sword, you know, as I've been from the beginning, isn't to say, you know, I'm gonna grant you freedom. I'm, like, the whole community, the reason why it was brought forward was to help people shift their mindset into one of freedom, so that they can start practicing in every area of their life. And then blockchain is an instrument that you can use to help achieve that.
Mhm.
But that first has to happen up here.
Yeah, I think one of the things I think about the most, and I probably think about this on a daily thing, is sovereignty. How am I managing my sovereignty over my life? And that means my heart, soul, mind, money. But money is simply an expression of your sovereignty over your own mind. I was broke my whole life. I don't have a high school diploma. I was raised to work real hard, not real smart. And I flipped that upside down in 2017. I was like, I need to figure this out. And I determined that I wasn't sovereign over anything in my life. I was too wrapped up in the scarcity mindset because I didn't have enough. Wasn't not enough, period. Social media tells you you're not enough. The bank tells you you don't have enough and you never will make enough, right? We live in systems of scarcity. And they take away, or they say, well, you're not enough, but we'll give you this little carrot of like dopamine or a little gift here. And they steal your sovereignty away bit by bit. And we lose our power as individuals. We lose our power as people. And you need to fight for your sovereignty. And it has to start with your mind first. You need to become self-aware first. And then everything else starts to change. Because you see yourself as you are, you'll see the world as it is. And for me, I saw the world as it was, and a lot of it was my fault. Because I was reciprocating the reality that was in here, out there. I had a bad relationship with money. I had a bad relationship with myself. And I changed that. And I said, okay, I need to be sovereign over myself. What does that look like? And that means understanding like what the true reality of the world is, the true reality of who you are is. And when you have those two right, you become powerful. Because you see the world as it is, you can manipulate it, or you can line up with it, you can work with it. But you can't do that if you don't see yourself as you are first. Period. Anyway. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
Go ahead.
Yeah, one more. Yeah.
So if I don't have very much time at all, but I really want to get into this, but like, for example, we talked in our last course about just checking out some DeFi. So I went online and I found a bunch
Oh,
of
God,
stuff,
yeah.
looking for DeFi. And I don't know what to do with it, and I don't have a lot of time to spend on this. So would you say, just like you did, just take your money and just keep buying Cardano and just that's going to be good enough? Or, and like, yeah.
Yep. I mean, I didn't start out with Cardano. I bought into a coin called Electronium, and nobody's heard of it because it didn't last very long. I mean, it's still around, but it doesn't have any value. And I kind of stumbled my way through a bunch of different things. But it was when I realized, okay, there are principles that need to be apparent here. And Cardano, for me, matched all those ones. So I would say go do the research to at least align yourself with the technology that agrees with your principles, right?
And we're doing tutorials, and we're collaborating with other people to help us create a curriculum, if you will, but a decentralized curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
And that it will provide us with, so you'll say, this is what I would like to do, or this is what I like, this is the kind of investments that I feel comfortable with, you know, this is the risk tolerance that I have. And then it will have, like, where, when that's what you say, then only those types of tutorials will be available for you to watch. So you're not having to navigate through a sea of most of the misinformation.
See, because that's the thing that I'm looking at, like, there is so much misinformation.
It is so
and
bad.
There's scammers out there, and there's,
Yeah.
and even with like digital IDs and like the whole thing, it's like, to me, it's such a gigantic world, and I don't have the time to filter through all of it. I
Yeah.
just don't. And so,
You're gonna have to take some time.
I know, I don't
Yeah.
mind taking some time,
And,
but
yeah.
like, there's just so much, it's almost like, if you can point me in the right direction, or if you can, like, give me kind of a basic to start with?
Yeah, and, you know, isn't it what you're pointing to is that we need to cooperate? We need to work together on that.
We sure do.
Yeah, for sure. I would say find an asset like Cardano. I can't give you financial advice, but an asset like Cardano that pays compound interest into its base
But how do you access that compound interest?
by staking.
And how do you
That's-
stake
yeah.
that?
So rated, okay, yeah, so I'll give you a quick tutorial for that. So within your wallet will be a staking button.
Okay.
Yeah, for Cardano wallets, they have a ranking system, and it goes from green to red. And it's based on saturation of the pool, right? So if it's
The wallet has a staking
button, like you just press stake,
Both Yoroi
and it gives you all the stake pools, and that's a long list, but then it ranks them.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can look at how many coins are staked there, how much uptime they've had, right? If they have any downtime kind of thing. Yeah, all the stats are available right within the wallet.
So one question that I have, you were mentioning it, that you were able to stake, but then also do like short-term finance as well, like DeFi?
Yep.
And so you're able to earn interest
On
top
your-
of,
yep.
like instead of, you're double dipping basically.
Quadruple tipping.
Yeah, yeah. So then, are there certain dexes where you can do that? For instance, KuCoin, you have to actually, like when you're going into DeFi side of things, the money's locked in for those 7 days or whatever.
Depending on the protocol, yeah.
Yeah, are you picking dexes or DeFi platforms where those are not restrictions, or you are, but it's okay because it's still receiving the stake pool rewards?
I would say it's determined by the user, right? For me, I can lock up a lot of money for a long time,
Right.
right? So it gives me a little bit more freedom. But some people might not have that much money to lock up. They might be able to loan money out for a week, right? But for that 1 week, you can make double your interest, right? So it depends on the person.
Okay.
So some of these DEXs and other DeFi applications, their terms are all different depending
So,
on.
And I guess where my question is, so let's say for instance, the Yoroi wallet is being used to stake.
You're right.
Yep. And then while it's there in that wallet, how would I be able to also utilize KuCoin at the same time? Because I have.
So you're saying if KuCoin was the DeFi application that you're wanting to use, you would go in there and they would ask you for your staking address or something.
Oh, okay, got it. And you get that staking address when you stake from your,
Yeah, you pull it out of your wallet.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what me and Michael are preparing videos for, so people can navigate through that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's entirely dependent on the protocol. I haven't used them all, so.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Wondering if you are aware of projects like Quartal, they're trying to achieve one level more of decentralization with the internet,
It's QORTA.
QORT.
Never heard of it. And how are they decentralizing in a?
Well, that's what I was trying to figure out, because
Yeah.
they're building their own internet, basically. You download the blockchain and you have access to websites in the network.
Oh, so I think that would be a distributed database. Yeah, that's probably what it is. It's so it's like a blockchain, but it's also a distributed database. Yeah, it's nothing special. Yeah. Those already exist.
So what happens if somebody wins the lotto
Mhm.
and says, I've got like $1 million to put into DeFi so that I get the 5.5% and I get the other 15% and whatever. Like, how does something like that not crash what's going on? Like, how does all of a sudden, like one person just, like an Elon Musk or a Bill Gates?
Yeah, if you wanted to.
Like, how does that not upset the apple cart with?
Yeah.
with that?
I mean, and again, that's social dynamics, right? So, or market dynamics. So if somebody went in to buy a bunch of coins and they put up a sell order for $1 bazillion or whatever, that would spike the price, right? They wouldn't be able to do it.
Okay. Yeah.
Isn't that part of their, I don't know if this is the right word, protocols, because you said that there's, there's investors and then there's all these different levels then, so it's like as if they've almost like said, okay, well, this is how much we've got and this is gonna be allocated, this much is allocated for here and this is allocated for that, so if somebody came in and wanted to buy a ton of everything, well, there wouldn't even be enough available?
Well, no, like, okay, so they allocate percentages and they allocate a certain percentage for public sale. Those go out to sale and those end up on cryptocurrency exchange. So there could be literally billions for sale to public. Like Cardano has 32 billion in circulation right now. Their hard cap is at 45 billion. Yeah.
So if a person does 500,000, that doesn't, I just want to be able to understand it, that if you have, like, let's say I sold my house
Mhm.
and I have X amount of dollars. If I go in and kind of go, hey, I want to quit my job and I want to be able to, this makes sense to me. So I'm kind of going like, I can't be attached to a thing. Like, it's nice to have a house and everything else, but the way everything else is going, like if Klaus Schwab decides that I get nothing.
Yeah, you own
then-
nothing?
Then I want to do it I want to do it sooner than later.
Yeah.
So how do I, look to the future for myself, invest in myself and the community so that I'm self-sufficient in, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, because like you were saying, like you still have to buy food or
Yep.
whatever. Like I still have to be able to, as far as I know, I can't go to Save on Foods and use a crypto card at this point.
Well, you could use a crypto credit card.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, so crypto credit cards are like crypto.com card.
Okay,
Yeah. And you buy it, and they pay, I think, well, it depends on the card you get, but I think it's around, like some of them are 8, 9, 10% payback. And you just load it up with your cryptocurrency and then spend it in
my
cash.
world is changing.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's getting better.
We'll get you trained up.
Okay, I'm investing in myself.
Sounds interesting.
I am my higher power, so, yeah.
I'm waiting for a card called Coti, C-O-T-I.
Yeah.
The company, the founding company is out of Israel. And Coti stands for Currency of the Internet. And they pay, their card isn't available in Canada yet, but it will be soon, and it pays 15% payback, cash. Yeah,
Like a year, or how does that work?
I think it's annual, yeah.
And
So if you had 400,000, you would make 60,000, as long as you didn't buy anything and need the money.
You spend 400,000 on your credit card?
No. Like, I sold my house for 400,000,
Yeah.
invest it,
Mhm.
but it's almost like you almost have to wait a year so that, because I want it compounding, right?
Mhm.
So that the next year I got 460,000 supposedly, or it could even change, it could even go up because of my other 5% or whatever it is, right?
Mhm.
Is that, am I thinking on that?
Yeah, I mean, whatever you invest, your standards, I call it interest because it's the easiest transposable term, but it's stake and rewards. Yeah, you make 5.5% on that. With the credit card, you make 15% on what you pay or what you're spending, right?
it's like a
Oh, it's like a rewards card.
Yeah,
Okay.
most credit cards are like 7,
Can
8%.
you use can you use it to buy a house? Like I'm wondering, like how,
cashback. So you just transferred from your wallet.
okay.
Yeah.
I was just kind of thinking that.
That-
I don't buy houses all the time, so I'm not there yet.
That is why, but, okay.
I guess the big deal is you gotta trust companies like Crypto.com.
Yeah, so with the Crypto.com card, that is an intermediary, right? That's a centralized intermediary. They are giving you a service. They are providing you a card where you can spend your crypto with cash, but they are like the government could go to them and say, don't allow him to spend his money,
Oh, okay,
right?
okay.
Can you talk a little bit about voting in Dallas and the whole,
Yeah.
staking and the voting and?
Yeah, so The voting is the same as, and it's not done being built, the voting app. I have the earliest edition for it, actually, and it's really, really cool. It's going to change that we interact in the world. You'll be able to rent, because the digital ID is the basis of all voting, right?
Oh, sorry, you're talking about national voting kind of?
I'm talking about, yeah, like if we were going to do.
Oh, no, sorry, I'm talking about catalysts, like ideas, jail.
Oh, yeah, idea.
Voting on proposals.
Yeah. And what do you need?
Because you need to have a wallet, you need, I think, 3,088
To vote, yeah.
So that has to be in your wallet, and then you have to interact with the voting app.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh man, this is still way too complicated.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in the process of iterating that app into the point where it's as simple as it's in your wallet. And the coins in your wallet are each coin in your wallet is a vote that you can cast, right? So the more coins that you have, the more votes you can use to cast. So that people with more investment in that community will spend more time voting on protocols that they see beneficial, right? They're incentivized because they hold more to vote on things that are more beneficial for the system. So yeah, your ability to vote in Catalyst is determined by the amount of coins that you hold. Not only that, but there'll be merit built into it. So once the digital identity, the decentralized digital identity program rolls out on Cardano, which is called PRISM, and you're able to build a digital reputation and prove who you are digitally, say you are a scientist with a certain degree from MIT, your voting weight on certain subjects would be weighted more.
Although we want to decentralize education, because that whole MIT credential thing is just as bad as the fucking central banks.
Oh, I agree with you.
Central education.
Yeah.
We want
Well,
to
in the transition from that world to this world, right? You're going to have to prove who you are digitally in some way, right?
Yeah.
So, like my ex-wife, she's going to take her BCom and her accounting ticket and put them in her identity wallet, and she can prove that she has degrees from universities and prove herself that way.
Yeah, and those are fake.
But in the future,
Saying in the meantime.
yeah,
But
in the future, those universities hopefully become decentralized, and they will issue you an NFT that is your diploma, and that'll go right into your.
We're proposing is that there is no central issuer of such a thing.
Right, that's what I mean. There's the university itself is decentralized, right?
Universities don't exist.
Well, the concept of a university, the learning idea.
Right, yeah. Well,
The concept of university, we equate it with learning, higher learning, but that is propaganda. Right?
Yeah, I know, I agree with you there. Yeah.
It should be about competency, which comes down to consent and relationship. And community, community acknowledgement is where the value of learning should be.
Yeah. And I think those things are a little bit further down the road, but they are an eventuality as well.
So what were you talking about then with the voting?
Well, and that's one of the things that interests me the most. One of the things that we need to do to change our current government is to.
saying goodbye to the stream.
Okay, bye, stream.